The quantum communication array hummed with an intensity that made Captain J. Park pause. His calloused fingers hovered over the holographic display, watching the distress signal flicker like a wounded heartbeat across multiple frequency bands. Outpost Horizon was supposed to be a standard research colony, nestled in the outer rim of human-controlled space. Established 5 years ago, it housed approximately 1,200 scientists, engineers, and their families. The signal wasn't just a typical transmission. It was fragmented, desperate, and carried an underlying tone of absolute terror. Communications Officer Hyun Kim worked frantically, her fingers dancing across quantum encryption panels. Each fragment she recovered revealed something more disturbing. Background noise suggested massive structural damage. Intermittent voice transmissions spoke of something unprecedented, an attack that didn't follow any known alien engagement protocols. "Captain," Hyun said, her voice trembling slightly, "these transmission fragments, they're not making sense." J. Park leaned closer. The signal contained bursts of technical data mixed with what seemed like panic-driven human voices. Fragments of conversations suggested a swift, overwhelming assault that happened within minutes. "Replay the last transmission," Park commanded. The voice crackled through the speakers. A male voice, presumably a colony administrator, spoke with controlled panic. "Unknown vessel. Technological capability beyond. They're not interested in communication. Complete annihilation seems to be The transmission cut off abruptly. The alien Confederation monitoring stations had already dismissed the signal. To them, human colonies were insignificant, another potential casualty in the vast cosmic landscape. They believed humanity was a young, somewhat aggressive species, but ultimately inconsequential in the grand galactic hierarchy. They were wrong. J. Park had served in the Interstellar Defense Force for 23 years. He had seen conflicts, navigated diplomatic nightmares, and understood the subtle language of potential threats. This signal was different. It wasn't just a distress call. It was a potential declaration of a new, unknown threat to human existence. Hyun continued analyzing the transmission, her advanced quantum decryption algorithms working overtime. Each recovered fragment painted a more complex picture. The attack seemed methodical, almost clinical in its approach. Unknown vessel signatures suggested technology far beyond standard galactic interaction models. "The attack occurred approximately 6 hours ago," Hyun reported. "Total communication blackout since then." Park knew what this meant. In human military protocol, a complete communication blackout after such a transmission indicated one of two scenarios: total destruction or a threat so significant that standard communication became impossible. He activated the emergency communication channel. The bridge of the monitoring station suddenly became a hive of controlled activity. Technicians and communication specialists began preparing detailed reports, analyzing every microscopic detail of the transmission. The quantum communication array continued its soft, persistent hum, a reminder of the potential catastrophe waiting to be understood. Within 30 minutes, the first alert messages would be sent to Earth's primary defense command. Within 2 hours, the first reconnaissance units would be prepared for potential deployment. The human response mechanism was about to be set in motion. J. Park looked at Hyun, who met his gaze with a mixture of professional calm and underlying tension. They both understood what was at stake. This wasn't just about a potential colony loss. This was about understanding a threat that could change the entire human-galactic relationship. The quantum communication array continued humming, a silent witness to the potential beginning of something unprecedented in human interstellar history. Something was coming, and humanity was about to show the galaxy exactly what that meant. The moment the distress signal reached Earth's primary defense command, a precise and calculated response began. Admiral Sung Choi stood in the central command center, a massive circular room filled with holographic displays and advanced tracking systems. His eyes, sharp and focused, scanned the initial reports from Outpost Horizon. Within minutes, the first wave of preparation began. Massive starships that had been on standby were suddenly brought to full alert. These weren't ordinary vessels. They were humanity's most advanced weapons platforms, each designed to operate in the most extreme combat environments imaginable. The Rapid Intervention Fleet wasn't just a military unit. It was humanity's first line of defense, a collection of ships that represented decades of technological advancement and strategic planning. Each vessel carried enough firepower to obliterate entire planetary systems, yet they were also equipped with precise targeting systems that could neutralize threats with surgical accuracy. Lieutenant Commander Kim Dae-sung began coordinating the fleet's initial deployment. His fingers moved across holographic control panels, activating communication protocols and battle readiness sequences. Around him, hundreds of specialists worked with machine-like precision, each understanding their specific role in the complex machinery of human military response. The alien observation stations watched in disbelief. Human military mobilization was different from any other species they had encountered, where most galactic civilizations would spend weeks discussing, analyzing, and debating. Humans acted with immediate, calculated efficiency. Within 2 hours of receiving the distress signal, the first wave of ships began their faster-than-light jump sequences. These weren't just combat vessels. They were complete mobile operational platforms. Each ship carried medical facilities, repair capabilities, rescue equipment, and advanced scientific analysis tools. Admiral Choi understood something fundamental about human military philosophy. This wasn't just about combat. It was about protection. The mission wasn't simply to destroy a potential threat, but to understand it, neutralize it, and protect any potential survivors. The fleet's composition was strategically brilliant. Heavy assault carriers formed the primary strike force. Specialized reconnaissance ships moved ahead, collecting real-time data. Support vessels stood ready to provide immediate medical and technical assistance. It was a holistic approach to conflict that most alien civilizations found difficult to comprehend. Communication channels buzzed with disciplined, concise exchanges. No panic, no unnecessary chatter. Just pure, focused professional communication. Each crew member understood their role with crystal clarity. Intelligence reports began streaming in. Preliminary analysis of the attack suggested a technological signature unlike anything previously encountered. The unknown aggressors had managed to completely disable a human research colony, a feat that immediately raised multiple red flags. "Prepare full spectrum analysis," Admiral Choi commanded. "I want every piece of data we can gather." The alien observation teams continued watching, their understanding of human capabilities rapidly changing. This wasn't just a military response. This was a comprehensive, multi-layered approach to an unknown threat. As the fleet prepared for faster-than-light jump, the energy readings from the ships were extraordinary. Advanced quantum drive systems hummed with potential, ready to traverse vast cosmic distances in mere moments. Each ship was essentially a small, mobile city, capable of sustained operations in the most challenging environments. Lieutenant Commander Kim finished the final pre-jump checks. The massive ships began to shimmer, quantum drives creating localized space-time distortions. In less than a moment, they would be light years away from their starting point, racing towards a colony that might already be lost. But humans didn't give up. Not on their people. Not on their colonies. Not on anything. The first ships began to vanish, leaving behind nothing more than a momentary ripple in space, a silent promise of what was coming. Something was coming, and it wasn't going to like what humanity was about to do. Lieutenant Wu Kang led the first planetary assault team, his armored combat suit interfacing perfectly with the advanced dropship's systems. As they descended through the ruined atmosphere of Outpost Horizon, the initial scans confirmed their worst fears. The colony was decimated. Massive structural damage covered the landscape. Buildings that once housed research facilities and living quarters now stood as twisted metal skeletons. Smoke and electromagnetic interference created a hellish environment that would have been impossible for most species to navigate. But humans were different. Wu's tactical display revealed fragmented information. The attack had been precise, almost surgical in its destruction. Whatever had attacked the colony knew exactly what it was doing. This wasn't a random assault. It was a calculated elimination. Team, prepare for ground deployment. Wu's voice remained calm. Full defensive protocols. Watch for any survivor signatures. The dropships touched down in strategic locations. Advanced scanning systems began sweeping the terrain, cutting through the electromagnetic interference that would have blinded any other species' technology. Each team member moved with practiced precision, their combat suits providing complete environmental protection. The first hour revealed horrifying details. The colony's defensive systems had been completely overwhelmed. Massive energy weapon impacts suggested a technological capability far beyond current galactic understanding. But something was different about this attack. It wasn't just about destruction. It was about sending a message. Sergeant Park Min, he discovered the first survivor group. 37 researchers had managed to create a makeshift shelter in the colony's deepest research bunker. They were injured, traumatized, but alive. The rescue teams moved with incredible efficiency, providing medical support and gathering critical information. They came without warning. One of the survivors told Wu, "No communication, no demands, just pure, systematic destruction." The alien observation teams watching the human rescue operation couldn't comprehend what they were seeing. Most species would have conducted a limited search, collected basic information, and retreated. Humans were doing something entirely different. They were preparing for war. Advanced reconnaissance drones began mapping the entire colony. Every piece of technology, every fragment of data was carefully collected and analyzed. The human fleet wasn't just rescuing survivors. They were preparing a comprehensive response. By the second day, the rescue operation had transformed into something more. Intelligence teams were reconstructing the entire attack sequence. Technological analysis teams were breaking down the unknown aggressor's weapon signatures. Medical teams were treating survivors and collecting crucial biological data. Lieutenant Wu received the first detailed report. The attacking species had used a technology that combined energy-based weaponry with molecular disruption techniques. It was advanced, perhaps the most sophisticated attack system any known civilization had encountered. But humans had seen sophisticated before. The fleet in orbit began preparing a response. Massive weapon systems powered up. Quantum communication channels opened, preparing to send a message that would echo through the galaxy. This wasn't just a rescue operation anymore. This was a declaration. As the last survivors were extracted, Wu looked across the ruined landscape. Something fundamental had changed. The human understanding of galactic conflict was about to be rewritten. The unknown attackers had made a critical mistake. They had chosen to threaten humanity, and humanity was about to respond. The Galactic Council chamber fell silent when Ambassador Yunli entered. Her presence was unlike any diplomatic representative they had encountered before, calm, direct, and carrying an undeniable sense of controlled power. Behind her, holographic displays showed detailed records of the attack on Outpost Horizon. Each image told a story of calculated destruction that sent ripples of unease through the alien representatives. "We are not here to negotiate," Yun began, her voice clear and measured. "We are here to understand." The council members exchanged nervous glances. Typically, diplomatic meetings involved hours of circular discussions, careful language, and carefully constructed political dance. Humans seemed to operate differently. Representatives from the Trilateral Confederation, a powerful alliance of 3 advanced alien species, looked particularly uncomfortable. Their communication logs had dismissed the human colony as an insignificant settlement. Now, they were facing the consequences of that miscalculation. Ambassador Li presented the evidence with surgical precision. Weapon signatures, colony destruction patterns, survivor testimonies. Each piece of information painted a comprehensive picture of an unprecedented attack. The unknown aggressors had not just destroyed a colony. They had challenged the fundamental principles of galactic coexistence. This attack, uncontinued, represents more than an assault on a human settlement. It represents a threat to all sentient life. The quantum diplomatic interface, a standard communication system used by most spacefaring civilizations, struggled to capture the nuanced intensity of her presentation. Human communication went beyond standard protocols. Detailed reconstructions showed how the attack had been meticulously planned. The unknown species had used technology that suggested years of preparation, targeting the human colony with a level of precision that suggested something more than simple destruction. It suggested elimination. The alien representatives began to understand something fundamental about humans. This wasn't a species that would simply accept loss. This was a civilization that would respond with a level of determination that defied conventional galactic understanding. Tactical reports revealed the human fleet's response, not just a military intervention, but a comprehensive approach that combined rescue, intelligence gathering, and potential strategic neutralization of the threat. Each action was calculated, each movement precise. "We protect life," Ambassador Lee stated simply, not for territory, not for political gain, because it is fundamentally right. The words hung in the chamber, carrying a weight that transcended typical diplomatic language. The Trilateral Confederation's lead representative, a crystalline being named Krell, finally spoke. "You risk galactic conflict," he warned. Eon Lee's response was immediate. Conflict was initiated when innocent lives were threatened. Behind the diplomatic exchange, massive human warships maintained position near the Galactic Council's primary station. Their presence was not aggressive, it was a statement. A reminder that humanity's commitment to protection was backed by unprecedented technological capability. Survivor testimonies were presented. Each story revealed not just the horror of the attack, but the resilience of human survivors. They spoke of unity, of survival, of an unbreakable spirit that seemed to challenge the very concept of defeat. The diplomatic confrontation was unlike any in galactic history. Humans weren't seeking compensation or territorial expansion. They were seeking understanding. They were establishing a clear message: threaten life, and you will face consequences. As the meeting concluded, something had fundamentally changed in galactic politics. The alien representatives looked at the human delegation with a mixture of respect, fear, and a newfound understanding. Humanity had entered the conversation, and the galaxy would never be the same. The reconstruction of Outpost Horizon began almost immediately. Where most civilizations would have abandoned the colony, humans saw an opportunity to rebuild, to demonstrate resilience. Admiral Sung Choi watched the first reconstruction ships arrive. Massive engineering vessels transformed the devastated landscape, using advanced nano-reconstruction technologies that could rebuild entire structures within days. It wasn't just about replacing what was lost. It was about creating something stronger. Survivors from the colony played a crucial role in the rebuilding. They weren't victims. They were architects of their own recovery. Each person contributed, from the youngest researcher to the most experienced technician. Their spirit remained unbroken. The alien observation teams couldn't understand this response. Where other species would have retreated, demanded compensation, or sought immediate violent retribution, humans were doing something entirely different. They were rebuilding. They were healing. Detailed investigations continued into the unknown attacking species. Every fragment of technology, every microscopic piece of data was analyzed. The human scientific community worked with an intensity that bordered on obsession. They weren't just studying the attack, they were preparing for potential future threats. Lieutenant Wu Kang, who had led the initial rescue operation, now supervised the colony's reconstruction. His team worked alongside the survivors, creating a new community that was more than just a replacement. It was a statement of human determination. Galactic communication channels buzzed with the implications of humanity's response. The unknown attacking species, now identified through fragmentary data as the Krell Collective, found themselves in an unexpected situation. They had intended to demonstrate their technological superiority by destroying the human colony. Instead, they had awakened something far more dangerous. The human fleet maintained a constant presence in the region, not as an aggressive stance, but as a protective measure. Every scan, every patrol sent a clear message. This space was now under human protection. Scientific teams began developing new defensive technologies based on the attack's characteristics. Where most species would have been overwhelmed, humans saw an opportunity for technological advancement. The destruction of Outpost Horizon would become a turning point in human defensive capabilities. Survivor stories began to spread across human-controlled space. Each narrative spoke of survival, of unity, of an unbreakable spirit that defined human nature. The attack had not broken them. It had made them stronger. The Galactic Council found itself in an unprecedented situation. Humanity had responded to a total colony destruction with a combination of military precision, scientific curiosity, and humanitarian effort. It was a response that defied traditional galactic conflict models. Admiral Choi's final report was simple and direct. "We do not seek revenge," it read. "We seek understanding. We seek protection." Those words would echo through galactic diplomatic channels for years to come. As the first new buildings rose from the ruins of Outpost Horizon, something became clear. This was more than a reconstruction. This was a statement, a declaration that humanity would not be intimidated, that life, in all its forms, was worth protecting. The Krell Collective, watching from their distant systems, began to understand something fundamental about humans. They had not just attacked a colony, they had awakened a civilization. And civilizations, once awakened, do not easily return to sleep. In the vast darkness of space, the rebuilt Outpost Horizon stood as a beacon, a reminder that some species do not break. Some species fight back. Some species turn destruction into an opportunity for something greater. Humanity had just shown the galaxy exactly who they were. And the galaxy was listening.